The galaxy. The galaxy is endless, with trillions of planets and thousands of forms of life on each one. The most feared are the hunters, such as Cattle Tick, an alien hunter whose abilities allow her to travel through the multiverse. She is sent to a planet called Earth, where she must hunt down and kill a former member of the ruling council on her alien homeworld that has gone rogue. The trouble is, she needs a body. Nicholas Benson is a university professor, an ordinary guy just out for a good time. When these two are forced to join forces, she must change him. He has a weak human body. However, she can make him stronger, faster, give him powers beyond belief, but at a serious cost. Nick would walk away, but he can't. As they close in on their prey, strange things begin to happen, and new enemies start to rise up. Will these two be able to work together and bring down this rogue alien from another world? Or will the Earth face certain destruction? The God Hunters. Nick Benson, Book 1. Written by Gordon Lanyon. Narrated by Samuel Shoemaker Trio. Pick your copy up on Amazon today. Hello. So in today's review, I'm going to be reviewing The God Hunters, Nick Benson, Book 1. Let's begin with the cover. So, the cover is interesting. I'm just going to say right off the bat, I think this cover could be better. It feels very post-apocalyptic based on what I see for the cover, but the book itself doesn't quite 100% match, I think. This is a problem I have with people saying that, people judge books by its cover. This, to me, would feel like some kind of war book. There is kind of a lot of fighting in it, but I feel like the cover needed to be more sci-fi based. Now, from what I noticed on the platform Goodreads, I don't think that this cover is the original cover, and I don't know. It's just, this cover does not scream what this is. I don't know much about it, but if I was just basing the book off the cover, I don't know that I would definitely pick this up right away. Moving on to the title, The God Hunters. So if you look this book up on Amazon, the full title is The God Hunters, Nick Benson, Book 1, which tells me that this is supposed to be part of a series. I do have to say, after finishing it, that I am definitely interested in where the story is going to go from here. Going back a little bit to the cover, I think that Nick Benson in Book 1 should have been prominent on the, front of the cover. So there's that. The title God Hunters, I understand it after finishing the book. So I really didn't have much of an issue with that. It was pretty spot on for what it turned out the story was. Moving on to the story, I think that the story kind of had a rocky start. There is a lot that happens within the first 3 chapters that just kept me confused. Now, after, like, during chapter 3 and onward, you finally start to get an understanding of the entire story and premise. So it starts to become less confusing. It just seemed to take a little bit of a while to get there. When the book begins, you are immediately thrown right into this action with no context of what's going on, what you're reading, what the rules of this universe are. And it becomes very confusing. I think if the writer had maybe some kind of prequel or an extra chapter establishing this character with these rules, maybe not all laid out in the first chapter, but basically, as it's kind of stated in the summary, you're following this hunter named Cattle Tick. And it's more like her mind is possessing somebody on a different world. And through that, she hunts down criminals, which I'm not entirely sure if the criminals actually traveled in their bodies to these other worlds or are also inhabiting other people. But she hunts these people down. And the first chapter just starts off with her immediately traveling, and taking over someone. And I was completely confused and lost the way it started off. Now, like I said, maybe if the first chapter had been where we saw her finishing up one of her hunts and then departing, going back, spending a little time on her homeworld, getting her next target, being sent to that target, it would have laid a foundation for some of the ground rules, and it would have given us some context for what we were about to witness. But just jumping right out of the gate really threw me off. After that, I'd honestly have to say, the only other issue I really had with the story was there were a few times where the writer changed from a first-person point of view to sort of a third-person point of view. It didn't happen a whole lot, so I, could look past it. But to some anal readers out there, I'm sure they would be like really harping on that. But it was fine because it gave us information outside of the main character's perspective. Gave us some more info on another main character. I just think that if we were going to do that, it should have been done more fully. And it should have been done from that main character's perspective as well. Maybe with some kind of transition explaining that, you are switching from this character to this character. Moving on to the narration. The narration was overall fine. I had no real issues with the narration whatsoever. Except there were a few times, quite a few times. I'm not sure what it was, but it kind of sounded like the person recording it, Samuel Shoemaker, maybe used a different mic. It was just clear that, there was something a slight bit off in the recording. Maybe it's just because I have a sharp ear for sound, but, it's just like the slightest change in his tone or the way he read something. But other than that, I mean, it was read perfectly fine. It was perfectly, edited well if it was edited. Next up, the characters. I honestly have to say this is probably the best part of the book. The characters were perfectly fine. I was heavily invested in each main character. I even despise the bad guy, I wanted to see him get, defeated. I wanted the heroes to win. I wanted certain characters to fall in love, but, I didn't know going into this if it was going to be a series or if it was going to be a standalone book until I looked it up here on Amazon for this, review recording, which it seems to me like this is going to be part of a series. So I'll be looking forward to hopefully doing more on this book series and letting you know what I think. Now, moving into the extras, I would have to say that if it becomes a series, I think the writer will easily be able to do better with, the explanations, because we already have this book here. So it already sets up a lot of this universe's rules and what can be done. I don't know what he's going to do because the ending, it did leave room for a sequel, but not following exactly all of these main characters. I don't see how he's going to work it in to bring them back or to bring the three main characters together again. Two of them, yes, I can see them coming together again. I don't see why, other than, just to keep an eye on each other. But, I mean, I'm not the writer of that series, so hopefully he's got a plan, and I'd be interested to see what he does with this universe. As for the ending just it sort of felt slightly anticlimactic. Again, this looks like it's going to be part of a series. So, I mean, if it was a standalone book, I'd say yes. This is definitely anticlimactic and could have been ended better. But knowing that it says book 1, it's obviously part of a series. I'm now intrigued to find out what exactly is going to happen and if possibly things might take a different turn and we might get some new rules added in that bring maybe, certain characters back. It's been done before in science fiction, so it's not like it's completely off the wall for any writer to use. So with all that said, on a score out of 10, how would I rate this? Well, if I get, a future copy to review, I'll definitely be willing to check out a future copy. Is this something I probably would have bought? Not unless I really looked into it or I heard a lot about it. Like I said, I had no real problem with the characters, the narration. Even the story was pretty good. The problem with the story, like I said, was mainly just getting going. That was the issue. The end was a little anticlimactic, but that's something that can be fixed later on. So if I had to give this a score out of 10, I would probably say this is a 6. A 6 out of 10. I definitely think moving forward in the series, these books can get better. I'm actually a pretty big believer that usually the first books, doing all the setup for a series, can usually suffer because you've got to get the people invested in that first book. And the first thing people want to know are what are the rules of this universe. And while that was done, I just felt, like I said, it's very action heavy. So moving forward, it'd be nice to see a little bit more and to understanding what these rules are maybe diving into them deeper would give a better understanding. So like I said, a 6 out of 10. If you are interested in sci-fi, I would definitely suggest picking this up. This is definitely something that I think would really, you know, I would definitely recommend picking this up if you like science fiction. If you like action, if you like, you know, a lot of stuff with fighting, the fighting is described really good. So that's why I gave this a 6 out of 10. And I really do look forward to what this writer can bring in future installments. If you are a writer and if you have an audiobook, please feel free to email me at the link below in the description, and I'll give you any information you need to send me your audiobook. I'm heavily into sci-fi, fantasy, horror, thrillers, actions, comedies. So if you have anything like that and you want to get a YouTube review of your book or audiobook, I will have time to listen to audiobooks. So contact me. Let's get something going. And I'll look forward to hearing yours and putting the review up on this channel. Also, I would like to announce we have finally reached 30 subscribers. As I mentioned many times before, every time I get a new set of 10 subscribers on this channel, I give away a free digital code for a movie. So, here is our 30 mark digital code. If the code has already been used and you missed out, I'm sorry. But subscribe today and make sure to turn your notification bell on to make sure that you get notified when a new video goes up. I also do giveaways for holidays. So, you never know. I could surprise you with a code out of nowhere. I want to thank everyone for watching and have a great day.